Good evening, and welcome to Let Your Words Count, where we discuss and explore the meanings behind the words that shape our lives. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Gary Gant. I am sitting here with Ethan Merriweather.
Yo,
All right, and we are on episode 44 today. Time is flying, bro. 45? I
Yeah.
messed up. 45 episode. Wow. All right. Good milestone incoming. How you doing, E?
man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm blessed to be here, man. We haven't. It seems like we haven't gotten together.
Yeah,
We haven't got together the last couple of weeks. You know, I was kind of under the weather last week or whatnot, and I think that
I think I was out of town a week before that or something. So
yeah, something like that.
it's been a little bit off. We had a crazy hectic August, but looks like we're getting back in the swing of things. 5 episodes away from 50, man. Can you believe it?
Man,
It's
that's
coming up.
awesome.
It's coming
That's
up.
awesome. That's cool because the thing is, it's like I realized, this would be kind of like a testimony or whatnot, man. Once we started this show, it's really been helping me slow down and really think about words when I communicate to people.
That's awesome, bro.
You know, like with really allowing, my words to count in many, many ways, to reflect, put like this. I want people to see the authentic side of Ethan Merriweather, even if it looks bleak in some moments, but just be as authentic as I possibly can.
I love it.
And I realize that the more you explore these words and apply them to your life, you can't hide from yourself, right? You got to just be honest, because the thing is like with words, they don't change. Right, it is what it is. If they're defined and different things like that, the word is what it is, right? You can't manipulate it, you can't change it or whatnot. Once it's defined, it is what it is. You roll on with it. And that's one thing I value about it. And I find myself like using the words as a mirror to myself, right? So if I want to apply the words properly, then I think I could create the best version of myself when I properly, align the word right.
That's awesome, man.
know,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I do want to challenge that thought a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Because I think I agree with what you were saying, right? Like, and starting this channel, like you said, it made us have to confront some things about ourselves and the way we look at or interpret or, more importantly, apply some of the words we've been talking about. But I do think it's possible, and you and I discussed this a couple weeks ago, it is possible to change the way a word is perceived in society.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like we talked about the word woke and what it originally meant and embodied versus how it was deliberately and intentionally manipulated to be something different to reduce awareness.
yeah.
Right, I think that your warning applies. Use the true meaning of words as an honest tool for introspection within, but then look at the real definition of the words and then see, are you applying them correctly?
Yes.
Right, because somebody may take and manipulate or find some reason, and you all got to excuse my voice. I was at an amusement park and screamed my voice raw this weekend. But yeah, people can take a word and manipulate the meaning to change the way it's been applied or understood within society for their own benefit sometimes, unfortunately, too.
No, I agree with that, man. Nice correction. I appreciate that because you are right. They can be manipulated, right? But I think the person have to just know the intentions of the person that's talking to you,
Yes,
and then you kind of vet.
I love it.
You vet the word, and then
Yes.
you gotta be curious enough to go check it for yourself. And plus, like today is a day, our culture and the way society is and the way the internet is just it's an explosion of information. Fact checking is really, it should be your next line of
Yes.
defense, so to
For
speak.
every new thing you hear and learn.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, I mean, again, I think just in this honest introspection side of things, we've talked about this again before too, but there have been times I've looked at words and said, I'm going to change the way I use this word. You know what I mean? Or looking at it and saying, I don't agree with the way this word is applied or the way it's defined. I'm going to take it and intentionally change it and maybe manipulated is the right word, but you know what I mean? There's been times that I've changed and said, okay, everybody accepts this word as meaning this. That doesn't work for me anymore. I'm going to change it. But I'll be honest with people about it and not try to manipulate them or lie to them and say that, something is different. You know what I mean? I'll be honest if I do something like that. So,
yeah. No, I understand, man.
Yeah.
Because one of the words that we're going to use eventually,
Yes.
and we'll talk about that very soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think we definitely have to be careful, how our intentions are with that. Going back to what you said, what are your intentions for using this word?
Right.
A lot of times that I found myself assuming a lot of things, like we said, like what started this program was presume and assume, kind of interchangeably using them, and they have slightly different definitions and meanings. But just let's go back. This morning, I send a text to you because Tamara wanted to do acclamation,
Right.
but you just one little letter will change the whole meaning of a word,
Yes,
right?
it does.
So you looked up acclamation and
CCLI.
yeah, it's just like that one little letter can change the whole definition and meaning of a word.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. and then we find ourselves with that one letter being in arguments and not really checking and making sure that man. Let me know, what word did you use again? Can you spell it for me?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
like you had to do for me this morning. Like, I'm talking about a different word. I'm like, oh, my bad, bro.
Yeah,
bad.
But it's all good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
With that said, I guess we get started.
Awesome segue, man, because not only is this word, you said the word acclamation, but I think it's also, I'd like to note that it's kind of standing at an intersection between two words we've done before.
Okay.
Because we talked about authentic before, and we talked about validation before. So acclamation, ACCLAMATION, is kind of like an intersection or like a blending of those two words. We kind of combine those together. That's kind of what acclamation is. So if you want to pull up the definition for episode 45 on acclamation, we'll read the definition. The definition says acclamation is a loud, enthusiastic show of approval, often expressed by applause, cheering, or vocal affirmation.
Yeah.
One more time, acclamation is a loud, enthusiastic show of approval, often expressed by applause, cheering, or vocal affirmation. And Ethan, if you want to get into our word etymology and derivation.
Yeah, sure. So the etymology of the word is Latin acclamatio or tio, from acclamere, to cry out at, combining, add to clamere, to shout, originally tied to vocal approval in gatherings.
Interesting.
Thought that was interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead, since I'm at it, I'm gonna put the emotional lens, which is, I love the emotional lens because it gives you the behavior that can be produced in the mannerisms and the emotional context of the word, right? So the feeling, the positive and negative side. So the positive is encouraging, affirming, and celebratory, right? Basically celebration, right? Negative can feel shallow, manipulative, or undeserved in some context. Something that we have to be very, very careful of. And why? Because it represents public recognition. Acclamation can inspire or distort depending on sincerity.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that at first?
No, it's just this is, and I think like when we discuss sincerity or authenticity as well, right? This is another one of those words that if you're authentic and if you're honest in the way that you approach it, it could be a good thing. But this is one of those words that always looks like it's something good, but if somebody is approaching it with insincere intentions, it could have a downside. It could have a negative impact to it. You wouldn't think that a word like you said, celebrating someone, giving applause, vocal admiration, or affirmation rather, that somebody agrees with something that's being said or agrees with a person or a person's actions or whatever, you would generally think that's just a positive thing, But depending on what's being encouraged or the motivations or the intentions behind what's being praised, it could also have a very bad outcome.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm still trying to gather my thoughts on this one, because when you think about the emotional lens, the positive and negative side from the immediate feeling of the word is positive, right? But like kind of what you're saying is like when you think about acclamation, do you want to what's the word I was looking at text, sorry. When you think about acclamation, do you want to be in a defensive mode all the time, right? Like, because immediately is a positive, right? Celebratory. But like you're saying, I was just thinking about like, because a lot of people welcome being celebrated and different things like that. Me, for one, I would say I'm more introvert than anything, right? So acclamations don't really sit well with me. Okay, like really, I don't care about applause. I don't really like that. It actually for and that's the reason why I'm kind of having a hard time with the word because those are the types of things that I don't necessarily need. You know what I mean? And I don't need and I mean, I don't want to lie, right? Does it feel good? Yes, it feels good, but I don't necessarily need that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Definitely do.
Yeah. So when it comes to a person that's like an extrovert versus an introvert, how does it sit well with them? Like, because me, I don't even like someone saying happy birthday, Ethan. I just say thank you to people just because, but I don't have to have that. You see what I'm saying? I don't need to. I don't really need that. I'm trying to get my thought out. I'm trying to think a little bit more, but when you talk about acclamation, this word, I don't know how far I can go with it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, because I think you hit on a couple of good things, right? Acclamation feels good, full stop. Being recognized in some way, appreciated, applauded, celebrated, or whatever. That we all have a human ego, and yes, some people are on a path of trying to separate, their ego from the way they think and things like that. That's fine, but to a basic person, when it first hits you, acclamation feels good. It's some kind of positive reinforcement. It's a recognition of a job well done. Most people would not feel bad at receiving something like that, but there are again those caveats to it, right? It feels good, but it can be difficult if you get praised for something and maybe you disagree or you don't like what you're getting praised for, and then you start to question and think it's not authentic. You and I have talked about this a lot, right? We're not afraid of using AI and AI tools as it's developing, right? So in using AI and kind of looking at like ChatGPT, and if South Park, I'm not going to encourage South Park necessarily, but if you watched it lately, it's talked about. It had one episode specifically where it was kind of picking on the way AI kind of responds to you. And we've seen this, right? So if you go on ChatGPT, there's almost nothing you can punch in that the AI response won't praise you in some way.
Yeah.
I can go in there and purposely put a dumb idea, something that's not something good to do, and ask AI for its opinion or ask for it to respond, and it's going to give you an acclamation type of response. It's going to celebrate you and say, "Great idea. This is something that's very unique," and it'll give you praise almost no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing where, again, in this realm of, or in the current climate of participation awards and things like that, where somebody may get recognized for not really having done anything remarkable. Again, maybe it'll lift up and boost up, and it does. Acclamation is going to give some kind of positive feeling and make people feel celebrated or like they've achieved something, right? It can give them a sense of approval or a confidence boost, things like that. Those are great. But what happens if it's a person that knows the recipient needs that approval, and then they can start using that for manipulation? That becomes a problem. If I find, and this is why you have so many laws in place around like conflict of interest stuff, you know what I mean? Things like that.
Yes.
Or taking bribes and gifts at a specific job. I used to get all kind of these surveys where you have to once a year go in and confirm that, people that you're working with or other companies, you don't have some kind of tie there where they may be able to say, hey, we want this business from you. Let me take you out to this, $500 a plate dinner and give you, season tickets and everything else. And in doing this, I hope you pick us, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So if I'm looking for that kind of praise and look how important they think I am and yada, yada, I'm going to basically take and internalize what they've given me to think they must really like me or, appreciate what I do or whatever. And I'm going to be more compelled to kind of side with them or give business to them kind of thing. Right. So kind of an abstract example, but I think you get what I mean.
Think that's
it's like
good.
That person that's susceptible to needing that kind of praise. If you're in a position to have some kind of power or control over something, others that may want that same power or control you have may manipulate your need for approval or acclamation and tell you what you want to hear in order for them to just get what they want. It doesn't mean that what they're telling you is sincere. They're looking at you as a means to an end.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to be careful about, being that kind of person that's moved by those kind of things, because somebody might come along and lie to you and say, man, Ethan, it's like, man, that thing that you did was just so great, so great. Can I have some money? You know what I mean? It's like it's something hidden behind this fake acclamation, right?
I think that what, I'm glad you said that. So I was getting to a point where I was stuck, right? But you brought that very, very that good point about the ethical side of the thing, right? So in your mind, do you think that acclamation is a fleeting type of action?
Yes.
So when you say a person needs that type of recognition and validation, it goes back to the word validation as well. So that means it's all predicated on a particular condition, correct? So when you talk about acclamation, just as for instance, like let's say we're getting into the voting time where you have a for who's going to be the next governor for the next how long, however the time and the terms the person is going to take, right? Not saying any names or anything like that because it don't really matter. But we just use that as an example, right? So when the person is chosen, right, because that person is already spewing off all these things that's going to happen when they get into the office. You know what I mean? The first month or so is the critical points. And when they're not achieved, that acclamation is done.
Right.
Like it's already done. It's like fleeting. It's gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's kind of like how I'm looking at that. And I'm looking at it two ways. And maybe I'm looking at it from another perspective or another angle. Because when you talk about the acclamation, that means that you're talking about a person is giving acclamation toward someone. Acclamation means it's a
giving praise.
It's a giving praise. It's a output to a input, right? I kind of look at it like that, right? So it's coming from me outwardly and is being received, right? But I think it's dangerous. Like to me, that's the reason I'm saying when you're going back to with your manipulations, I think you have to be very careful. And I love when Jesus said this, man. He said this flat out, man. He said, "Oh, good master." He said, "Why callest thou me good?" Right? Like basically, don't flatter me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, I look at when you think about the wrong side, the false acclamation, and that's how I want to look at it, as false acclamation, because acclamation altogether is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
We see a negative side and a positive side.
Sure.
But there can be a false acclamation, going back to what you're talking about, where there's manipulation involved. It's like, what's hidden behind this?
Yes.
And so that person has to arm themselves with an understanding and discernment as to why they're getting this acclamation or why they're getting this praise and recognition. Because going back to what we were talking about earlier, like you win a Super Bowl or you win the World Series or you win some type of world, some type of championship, right?
Yep.
You've been invited to the White House or someplace and to be honored. Man, probably none of those guys in the office don't even care about any of these sports in some type of way. Maybe some, okay, whatever, but what I'm saying is, it's like, does that even matter?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And and what if you're being dragged to something to be honored?
Yes.
And you don't even want to go there. So are you creating a atmosphere and a condition where you're creating fake people?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
yes.
Go ahead. That's it, and that's what I don't like about the insincere aspect of it.
Yeah.
And you brought up a great point too, because we've been talking about a person that gives acclamation insincerely. but there's also the person that chases acclamation insincerely.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like that person that, like we talked about, the person that relies on external validation, that maybe has low self-confidence or self-esteem within themselves, or a low impression of themselves, and they get a taste of acclamation, and maybe they're up on a stage and saying something they don't even really believe or feel, but they're gauging, they're looking at the faces, they're looking at the responses of the crowd, and that person is thinking, I don't really think this, but they love it. So if they love it, and I need that acclamation, if I need that reinforcement, that external validation, I may continue to go off doing, saying, and acting in ways that are not authentic to me, only because I see that the people that I'm talking to or speaking in front of love it. So you get both sides of the coin, where if there is insincerity there, like if you get acclamation for a real job well done, take it, you know what I mean? Appreciate it, but then move on, because if you get too caught up in that, all kind of pride and other issues are going to come up where it's going to damage you. But, same on the receiving side. If you're going to receive acclamation, make sure it's for something that's your authentic self, and don't just take praise and continue to seek praise if something is not authentic and true to you, because you can. Right, you can, but then again, it's not sincere. And how far will you find yourself down the road? Because once you give in to point number one, and this isn't what I think, but I'm going to say it because they love it, and then you start getting addicted to that, because that's a dopamine rush.
Yes. And
I get down to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th thing that I've lied about just to get a crowd to applaud me. How long before you've completely sold your soul and you're just a puppet to whatever this group wants?
Very true, man. Very true. Very good, man. Very good point. And then that's where, it goes back to a couple of words that we were talking about. Is hypocrisy, and we were talking about self-worth, right?
Yes.
I forgot, we didn't necessarily say self-worth, but now probably
the worth episode though.
Yeah, the worth, right? So it's the same thing. It's amazing how all these words come back around, because it really points to introspective.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because if, like you said, that dopamine rush, when you see somebody out in a crowd or a congregation or whatever, a crowd, and you say something, and in your mind you don't necessarily believe what you're saying.
Yes,
dude, that's damaging.
Yes, it is.
It's damaging.
Yes,
and I think that we all have to be careful of that. And I think that, once again, like me being in the ministry or whatnot, I faced that from time, and I think that that's the reason why I backed off of doing that. Right. Because I didn't like the way I was feeling after it's done. You're talking about a person that's truly leaning on being authentic.
Right.
You have to really, in allowing, if you really want to believe the what you read in scripture or whatnot, and those words that Jesus spoke and Paul spoke, and James, definitely James, man, when you read the book of James, it's like these brothers were, you know what, I think I said this in another. I think I said this in another episode. But I don't look at the New Testament, the letters from Paul and James and Peter anymore as, I'm going to tell you to do this and you do it and follow it.
Right.
That's kind of like how it was presented to me, right? Or to us as people. And if anybody would disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. What I do this is how I look at the New Testament now. I look at it as testimonials. I look at it as experiences of failures and accomplishments in some type of way, right? When you look at that right now, you can say these men are real.
Right.
These men have gone through, and these men are teaching us how it feels to make mistakes, right, and have accomplishments.
Right.
I mean, and the thing is a lot of those things that those brothers and sisters faced, we go through the same thing. For sure. Right.
Sure.
So when you talk about acclamations, I really don't see too many acclamations from that part in scripture. That's
true.
That's true. If you're really honest.
Yeah.
Because to me, do you think that that acclamation, see, now you got me thinking a little bit more about, There was something I read here. And I'm going to read it real quick.
Go ahead.
So, practice gratitude, but keep perspective, right? Accept genuine praise with gratitude, but remind yourself this is about one moment, not my whole identity.
I love it.
Right? So it goes back to what you're saying, being very careful that if you do receive that, we have to filter that within ourselves. It could be genuine and it could be disingenuine, if that's the right word, right? And within yourself, you have to make sure that you've conditioned your heart enough that you can drop it. I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't necessarily need that. And this is a question. Do you think that we need that?
I think there are people that think we need that. That's what we covered in the validation episode, right? There are certain people, and again, recognizing there's multiple reasons for that, but there are some people who maybe don't think highly of themselves, or they've been hurt by somebody in their past who's given them negative feedback or negative information or whatever about themselves, and it's affected them.
Very good point.
So I know, and I've heard of people who have maybe grown up in verbally abusive homes. And those children oftentimes go their entire adult life seeking that recognition that they did not get from their parents. So that kind of person is going to probably, not always, but probably grow into adulthood seeking that validation they never got as a child. And when they find it, they become dependent or they become hooked on it because they missed it in the time where they needed to be built up and stabilized. Not having that, and they've now grown into adulthood, missing that critical element of maturity as you grow up. So this adult finds themselves looking for this childlike fulfillment of approval from a parent figure, and they go out and see in their adulthood, how can I go and fill that gap as a healing mechanism? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it to talk down to people, because I think there's an aspect of a person that becomes overly reliant on external validation, I think is a soul that's crying out for healing in some way.
I agree with that. I agree with that. So, so in some words, the person that needs, and once again, like, I'm gonna be very, very careful with this and really touch this word, this topic, so to speak, real gently. Because sometimes I think that I can be one-sided in my thinking, and I'm trying to open up my understanding and my compassion and empathize with people more. Just because I don't need praise doesn't mean I'm gonna say, well, you don't need that praise. Tell someone that's not what. Hopefully, that's not what it sounds like I'm saying.
No,
right?
It doesn't.
But one thing that I want to go back to what you said about that person that was hurt, harmed growing up, and then they developed this culture within themselves that they needed, and because it feels good. I've never received anything like that, and let me do this next task so I can receive that same applause. You know what I'm saying? That same recognition. That's fleeting. Would you call that autopilot? So, and let me be real, when I think about the autopilot is, and to me, I think that we live in a society on autopilot because there's an expectation that has been developed to create servants in a wrong type of way, in a capacity to give acclamation to topics, to people, to conditions, when we don't need to be doing that, right? We don't need to be doing that. Like, and I'm trying to be very clear with what I'm saying, because I'm still talking about that person that needed that, right?
Yeah.
And then a person that feels like they need that. Now you have on the other side, you have a culture that's controlled to do that. You understand what I'm saying? You're controlled to give acclamations when acclamations is not needed. You know what I'm saying? And what does that do to a society when you are controlled to give recognition to things that you understand what I'm saying?
I definitely do. So let me read to you a direct answer to that question that I was looking at, kind of prepping for this episode, right? So misuse acclamation can lead to sycophancy, peer pressure, or conformity, where people praise or approve not from genuine respect, but from fear, obligation, or social expectation. We live in the U.S. They're very, very prominent, not mentioning any names, any situations, anybody that's aware of anything going on in this country. There are very, very prevalent instances of this very thing that are happening on a daily basis right now, where people, you go back 3-4 years, were saying one thing, and now find themselves out of fear or obligation or social expectation contradicting what was probably their more authentic selves and their authentic words a few years ago, and are now saying something different because fear, obligation, social expectation. Yeah. So that, again, it encourages something where it's this social currency. It's this exchange for, if I'm fearful of this person, I want to make sure I stay on their good side. Or if it's some obligation, it's because I owe this person something, right? I'm not doing what's authentic to me. I'm doing this because this person scratched my back before and I got to go and kiss the ring kind of thing, right? So answering your question directly, what does it lead to? It leads to sycophants. It leads to people who, you gave the perfect word, autopilot. Autopilot is what? It's like when I've trained in sports and stuff like that before, and as a kid, you're asking your coaches, why am I doing the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again? And your coaches will always give you the same response. They want your response and your actions within that sport to be instinctual.
Yeah.
If you have to sit there and think about like a fighting sport or something like that, if I'm a boxer and I have to sit there and think about when this guy throws a punch, I got to dodge or I got to duck. Or, if you have to sit there and think about it while you're in the fight, you've lost.
You're done. Yeah.
You lost, right? So you have to practice that repetition until it becomes muscle memory, until it becomes I can do this on autopilot. And it's so instinctual that as soon as I see a certain muscle flinch in his shoulder and I know what hit is coming, I know how to respond automatically and instinctually without having to think about it.
Yeah.
If you get to that point with receiving disingenuous acclamation or giving it, you got a real problem, because now you're looking at somebody who's been down that inauthentic road so many times that they've developed this into a habit that's not even conscious anymore. It doesn't have to go through the full train of thought to how should I respond? How should I give praise? How should I receive it? All that's gone because there's so much an autopilot of giving something that's not sincere or receiving something that's not sincere or for insincere actions, and it's just you're lost at that point. You're lost. You're entirely a puppet.
I know what you mean.
You've lost all autonomy, all sense of self-agency is gone because you're just a puppet to the system at that point.
Man,
right?
Man. And that's kind of what I'm afraid of. I'm like, in the way society is being developed more and more, which has always been. It's just different. It
ebbs and flows.
Yeah, it's an ebb and flow type of thing, right? And so, this is actually a good word.
Definitely.
And we.
Thanks, sis.
Yeah. I think to go back to what you said, though, when you talk about that fear, and that's actually one of the words we're talking about.
We're building up to it. That's the word we have to give weight to. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you think about acclamation, when you're forced to give acclamation to something that you don't necessarily agree with, or going back to just even asking the question, why am I doing this over and over and over again, to build a repetition. That repetition will end up becoming, autopilot.
Yes.
And then you don't even think about instinct. It's just straight instinct, right?
Yep.
That is something that James was talking about in the book of James. He was talking about when someone with a good apparel comes in, you kiss the ring and different things like that, right? You kind of honor. And when you talk about the tongue, it is the most unruly part of the body, right? And the thing is like we say the tongue is an unruly part of the body, but the tongue is actually the tool by how we think, right? You know what I'm saying?
We express those thoughts.
We express those thoughts through the tongue, right? And the tongue is cursed, but it's actually your mind, right? You know what I'm saying? And the thing is when you get to a point with the acclamation is I can't even get it in my brain, man, because it's actually scary. It's actually scary when you were being groomed in some type of way to give recognition to things that we don't approve of. And actually this is another thing. Have you even thought of it far enough to give recognition or approval or something? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Have you actually thought in detail as to why I need to give this acclamation or recognition to something? You know what I mean?
Because
yeah, go ahead.
Because when it's not sincere, and this is, I don't know why thoughts like this kind of play in my mind a lot, but a man that has earned respect, admiration, acclamation, whatever, that has earned it by honest and sincere and authentic actions or words, a man that has earned respect will always, always hold a higher place in my mind than a person that demands it.
Yeah, I agree.
A person that has earned your trust for you to be obedient to them will always sit in a higher seat and have more honor in my mind than a person that demands it.
Yeah.
Right. So even in the word that you said earlier, right, like, that the tongue is a cursed part of our body. Yes. If I'm thinking in terms of letting acclamation and letting a false or insincere thing lead and guide that, which a lot of people have that tendency to do, that's where that saying comes from.
Yeah.
So let's choose, because we read that what can happen if it's insincere. On the other side of that, it should be used authentically to encourage and celebrate genuine achievements rather than manipulate or coerce approval. So when it's coming from a good place and you're not having ulterior motives behind acclamation, and you're not demanding it from somebody, and you're not overly reliant on it, right? When you use your tongue and your mind to do positive things, that's how you escape that mindset that it's a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Acclamation doesn't have to be all manipulative and negative, and we talked about that because it's a very, very real possibility. We see it on a regular basis that it does get used like that. So let's instead choose to give acclamation authentically for a job that's sincerely well done, and not looking for some kind of social currency or social exchange where I'm doing this out of some obligation and not sincerely.
Yeah.
And for the person that receives it, don't go looking for it, don't go demanding it. And when you get it for a job really well done or something that you really deserve it for, take it, be appreciative of it in the moment, and then go on to finish further defining your character, because you can't take that 1 second and roll with it like you've conquered life and everything else is just downhill from there. You know what I mean? There's a way to approach these things the right way.
So, like I said, for this particular word, I was having kind of hard time just building some thoughts together, because you pretty much covered it, a lot of it with some really, really good points. I was thinking about this is how do we man, my thought flawed. It's just fleeting, man. It was I was thinking about, it's something along the line is, how do you arm yourself, or how do you protect yourself from wanting acclamation? Was that it?
That's a great question, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a great question.
How do you protect yourself from it? You know what I mean?
So two things come to mind, and I'm not putting these out there as this is the answer, the definitive answer to your question. But when you ask that, two things come to mind. How do you say the question one more time?
It's more like, how do you protect yourself from false acclamation? That's kind of what I was thinking about.
I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Were you going?
No, go ahead.
So I think the two parts to that is, the first part is protecting yourself from wanting or needing it, is that you acknowledge that you always have room to grow and that other people are just as good as you are. The acclamation you receive does not make you some lord over men. You did something good. Somebody saw that good thing and acknowledged you for it. Move on. Don't dwell on it. Don't use it to think that you've again surpassed somebody else in something and that you're some greater being because of it. You just receive it. Okay, I did good there. Now what's next?
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into the second part for me is a person that is in this cycle of what can I do next for approval is going to keep staying in that cycle versus what else needs to be done that's good or beneficial or helpful to somebody or again is something that I want to achieve and be motivated by that. Like, you did something good, at 8:00 this morning and somebody saw it and recognized you. That's great. By 9:00, I'd like to do something else, not just chasing that acclamation, but because I want to set my mind on what's the next thing I have to do and not get so caught up on, man, I got applause after that thing I did at 8 a.m. Let me see if at 9 a.m. I can do the same thing. Yeah. That's not the end goal.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're pursuing that with acclamation and recognition as the end goal, that's where in my mind you're kind of getting off on the wrong foot again versus looking for what good things or what beneficial things or helpful things can I do with my time next. Right.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good because that was a good answer to that question, but I did have another thought in mind with that because it was something along the line about with acclamation when and I'm trying not to hold up the call with this or whatnot.
You could.
It was something. Did I write it down? I can't remember. Because it was. I hate that. It was so funny.
I do too, bro.
Yeah, man.
We getting up there, man.
Yeah, man. Because I had because you were saying some really, really good things, man. Because
just tell me to shut up. Just kick me under the table.
Right. Now I was thinking about when you said about when you do something and
do it for the right reasons.
You're doing it for the right. Well, see, I'm trying to get to the hypocrisy.
I got you.
That's what I'm trying to get to the hypocrisy part.
Got you.
There was a thought of hypocrisy, and I think that acclamation. How do you protect yourself from the hypocritical standpoint? And we say be genuine, but we're saying a lot of words out here like being genuine, but those things are a process, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, have we deployed acclamations in areas, in cultures or whatnot, and has it become a monster for use?
So to answer that, why is it successful when it's used negatively? When it's
okay. Let's say this. Why is it successful? Why is it successful? Number one, when used negatively, and why am I receiving it? That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm trying to guard people. Like, how do we teach people that?
It's the same answer to both questions. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Bro. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Go ahead, man.
I was just thinking about. I was like, "Hey, Maya, how you doing? Nice seeing you. Jumping on. How do you recognize when acclamations are false? We talked about that, but it's about protecting people because society, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, that is a vehicle and a system that it's made for acclamation. It is a tool and it's a juggernaut that can change mentality of hearts.
And it does. It's
based off of buttons.
Yes.
So you're using a virtual button.
Yep.
In order for people to feel validated.
Yes.
Right? By acclamation.
Right.
Right. And most of those acclamations are bots. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how do we protect people? Just say that's really nothing. That's a nothing burger. But see, here I go back because let me shut up.
No,
go ahead, bro.
You're
man.
good. I think it both comes back to the answer to both of those questions. Comes back in my mind to the same thing we mentioned a little bit earlier. It's ego.
There you go.
Why is it successful? Because people love to have their ego stroked and be told how wonderful they are, especially if they feel like they haven't been told that enough.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you protect against seeking after it? As a habit, it's the same thing. It's your ego. It's get control of your ego and needing to be told. If you're seeking for this got me applause, how can I get applause again? That's that external validation. What happens to your mindset and to your well-being if you don't get it that next time? Mm-hmm. What happens to the person that recognizes how badly you need that and then intentionally withholds praise until you do what they want you to do?
Yeah.
That's these steps to becoming a puppet, because what? Your ego needs this ego boost of somebody applauding you. Whereas instead, set your mind and your goals on things that you think and know and feel need to be done. And if you accomplish those things, it doesn't matter if you're the only person that sees it and you're in a dark room and nobody knows.
That's where I'm getting
You will feel that completion and that satisfaction and that fulfillment because you've done something that matters to you and not just chasing after applause. Put the ego aside and instead focus on what are the things I need or want to do or feel fulfilled by doing. And even if nobody is there to see it, even if nobody gives me praise, you have to try to train yourself. Instead of looking for that ego dopamine boost, I'm looking for the satisfaction of knowing I did something that meant something to me.
That's right? It, man. And I think that's kind of where I was trying to get to.
Got you.
Is really understanding who you are.
Right.
Your authentic self.
Yes.
That when you know your authentic self, you don't really need acclamation.
Right. Exactly.
Right. I don't need that approval for groups and different things like that to know. And I think that we need to get human beings in that. I think that's kind of what our whole point of this.
That's what one of the points of the show, right?
Of the show.
Yes.
Is like, look at these words and really be honest with what you're reading. Mm-hmm. And then look at yourself in the mirror and just be brutally, painfully honest with that.
Yes.
So there's something beautiful about humility.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. When you have a firefighter that goes into a building and saves children or whatever, comes out and they want to interview this man, right? And this man just want to get away. He doesn't even want to be on the camera, right? You know, we live in a society that you're forced and demand to say something about your heroism. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? No, let that man be. You know what I mean? Allow him to be humble in his state. Don't ruin that individual if he doesn't feel comfortable with that recognition. What if people are not comfortable with recognition like that? You know what I'm saying? But we create monsters with that. So we talked, and I think that that's what I was trying to get to was you had, like, going back to how I am. Like me, I don't like praise. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But every once in a while, it's fine. I'm cool with that. Right. That I've done where everybody, like you said, everybody has an ego, right?
For sure.
But I get very uncomfortable when it starts coming in a lot. Like if it's a one-on-one, thank you, either I'm cool with that.
Or if it's just overwhelming. If it's not proportional to what you did, you know what I'm saying? And you like, I did this one little thing, and it's these people want to throw a celebration and a party, and I don't need all that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's not what I asked for.
Exactly.
I know what you mean.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely.
Because I think that I don't know. I saw this. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro.
Okay. So I don't know if this was a trend where I saw, my brother was telling me about it. I just saw bits and pieces of it, right? Mm-hmm. But there was this little boy at a baseball game, Florida Marlins baseball game. There was a Phillies fan that was there. Mm-hmm. So there are rules in baseball.
I heard about that.
You heard about that?
Yes, I did.
So the ball, like, it's free game. If it comes off your glove, if you miss it, you know, most of the time people laugh at you. You know, and the next person that grabbed that ball, that's there.
Yes, it is.
Right. Yep. So the lady went over there and just straight up mean mugged and got that.
She was in his face, bro.
Yep. She wanted that baseball, and then the father was just like, "Get out of here," you know, and gave him the ball.
Yep.
And so I didn't see all this, but my brother was telling me that little boy was his birthday. It was his birthday at the baseball game.
Yep.
But they loaded this little boy. Yes. I mean, the Marlins just took care of him.
That's exactly what it should be. It was beautiful. Yep.
Took care of him and makes. So this is my point with that. Even though they flooded him with gifts and stuff like that, don't allow him to be spoiled. You see what I'm saying? And so with this little boy, hopefully the father just say, hey, this was a one-time event, son. This doesn't happen to every child. That's where we come in as adults that understand that this moment was a temporary event. Don't expect that to happen every time. That's the reason why I'm saying, like, when it comes to acclamations and approvals and yellings and different things like that for the approval of something to be done, right? We have to be careful with that so we don't produce a behavior of entitlement. You see what I'm saying? So I'm happy that the little boy got all the gifts, but let's make sure we don't make him a monster. That's
agreed. Yeah. And I think there's a couple lessons to take out of that story too, because like you said, what he got in response to the situation is probably not going to happen all the time, but these are the kind of moments that I look at as highlights in the replay reel for humanity. These are the kind of moments where people step up, seeing something wrong, something mean-hearted, and step up to make the end result of that person be so much better. The boy could have just had a ball that was just a game ball. That how many people catch game balls out in the stand? But now instead, this lady did something mean to him and his dad, and the human spirit said, we're going to go and make him even better off than he would have been had he just caught a game ball. We're going to give him all these signed, whatever they gave him, and they heaped gifts on him as an answer and as a response to what a mean-hearted person did. Yeah. So I look at that and I'm encouraged, because while it's probably a rare thing now, that's one of those moments where we look at that and say, that's how we should be aspiring to be in everything.
All the time.
When you see somebody that's hurt, that's been disenfranchised, that's been done wrong or whatever, and people gather around that person that's been done wrong and lift them up, that's when we show our best side, and that's when I'm proud to stand up and say I'm a member of the human race. There's a whole lot of times where I'm not, but when I see things like that, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, you got it. You got it. And there's a documentary I was watching. A friend of mine was showing me the other day on the USS Liberty, if you ever care to look at that story. But whatever, at the end of the day, there was some people that were in military service. And normally when you get a Medal of Honor and a Purple Heart, I think spread out between a few different people. And normally that's an event where you go, and as you talked about earlier, they go and it's this very public ceremony. And the president hands them these medals, and they get to shake the president's hand. And it's the importance of that ceremony and the recognition from your commander-in-chief is supposed to mean so much. But what happened with the USS Liberty was being swept under the rug. So instead of it being a public ceremony where the president would come and present these medals to these servicemen, they did it in some closed-off room, no press present, and the president was purposely scheduled to be somewhere else so there wouldn't be a news story attracting to the details of what that event was they got the medal for. Okay? So I'm listening to the interview of these servicemen who were flat out heroes that deserve the highest kind of recognition you can get in the military. But they felt disenfranchised. They felt like they were shorted because it wasn't public. It wasn't done with the press present like it normally is, and the president wasn't there to give it to them. But I'm looking at that story like, you have no idea how much more respect and honor those servicemen have in my mind than the president.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're looking for this, okay, every time somebody gets the Medal of Honor, Purple Heart, it's this public ceremony, press is there, accolades, news stories follow, shake the president's hand, pictures with the president, everything else. You have no idea how much more of a model example to humanity that serviceman was than the person he was looking for recognition to get a handshake and be handed that medal from. That president would have been honored to shake your hand, not the other way around. But we're so much looking into everybody else that got this certain recognition. And if I don't get that recognition, it means I'm not as good. No, you are standing as a pillar amongst men. And the man that you're looking for to shake your hand and get a picture with him, he's nothing compared to you. Nothing. You are the hero. you're the one that's the model. You're the one that other people should be looking for and modeling themselves after that, not the man that you're looking for to kind of, come up and shake your hand. He was nothing. I don't care what office he held. He was nothing compared to the man that went and sacrificed his life or sacrificed his physical well-being in order to serve his country. If a person that's supposed to be higher than him hasn't done that, that person that's made that sacrifice, that's put themselves in harm's way, they're the ones who have more honor to me. Yeah. So again, recognition could have come in a way that maybe they would have felt like it was appropriate, and it would have been. It would have been. But to have that mindset, to know how important and how great they were for the thing that they did, it doesn't matter if nobody saw it, if nobody gave you a medal, because let's face it too, a lot of servicemen have done heroic things and died. And so what, they're awarded these things posthumously. If they didn't get that award and that recognition in their life, it's always felt kind of hollow to me. I'm glad that the family gets some kind of recognition and be able to show that this person that died was a hero, but that person can't receive it. Yeah. That person's not there to be able to have that presidential handshake and all those pictures taken. Their name is etched into some wall, and they're given, the medal is given to their family. You know what I mean? It's like it's the we have to kind of have our mindset of what are the important things, and recognition just isn't one of them.
Yeah,
it's fleeting. It's social currency, but aside from that, it's not the real thing that matters. I'm sorry to go on about such a long example, but this is just. That kind of stood out to me as one of those kind of examples. Like, okay, you didn't get the recognition, but you have the respect,
right,
without question.
No, I'm with that, man.
Yep.
So one of the texts right here says, so focus and reflection is the key, and I do believe that that's the case. You know what I'm saying? Like really focus, because to me, like, I think when you talk about focus, right? Focus on the real, reflect, and really think about. How you want to, who do you want to become at the end of the recognition, right? Once the acclamation comes, it doesn't matter who it comes from, right? As long as you did your part, that is the most important part.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that story, man, but if that's the case, man, I agree, man. When it comes to servicemen, like there's so many servicemen. When I see him, I say, thank you for your service. See, I didn't, I was about to go to the service, but I didn't. I ended up working at a job, right? But when I get a time, I say it, man, thank you for your service, because it is I don't even want to go down that discussion, but the thing is like when you're taking the time and I don't know, man, I don't want to go too deep into the conversation, man, but I do have an issue with acclamation, false acclamation, false and forced acclamation. I do have an issue with that. And I do think that we have to be careful as humans at all times of what are we going to become at the end of that acclamation, or what are we becoming when we give acclamation. I think that's key. Be honest. This is the thought. I just thought about it right now. So when how to avoid giving acclamation when in your heart you know that this is something that you don't want to do. And I don't know if I might have asked that question earlier, but the same way. And that's kind of the thought that I was having. How do we, when acclamation comes up and your back is against the wall, it happens all the time. How do we get people or help people with that type of event or condition? You know what I'm saying? Because we all face that, and the whole idea is not to placate once again, but we be absolutely genuine, right? And for instance, and this is my point. Now I remember. It took an hour.
It's all good, bro. Came back to you. That's what's important.
If someone says, hey, I want you to listen to my song, right? And you listen to it and you like, man, this is trash. But they want the honest. I think that don't avoid telling the truth. You don't necessarily have to say trash or anything like that. But what you have to do is conjure up some type of thought or develop or come up with the truth softly, where you can let them know that, this is not something that I'm feeling. I think that is the right way of avoiding acclamation in some type of way. What are your thoughts with that, as far as avoiding acclamation when you know that is something that you don't necessarily want to do?
I think you said it the right way. It's just you try to, if you're trying to not be damaging or harmful in the way that you say it, just, don't be insincere. Just try to do it in as kind of way as possible. But I think there's also a lot of levels to why somebody would give acclamation when they don't want to.
Yeah.
Because the other side of that gets into, we talked about, we're going to do an episode on fear soon. That becomes a part of it too. What happens if a person is giving acclamation because they're fearful that if they don't, they'll be harmed in some way?
Yeah.
Killed, disenfranchised, have their business attacked, something like that. They're going to be harmed financially if they do it out of fear, because if I don't do this, I'm going to suffer some consequences. And then it becomes this moral dilemma of how much is your, it's like that, again, sell your soul kind of thing. How much is your integrity worth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you bow down and give acclamation where it's not something that you want to do because it's out of fear, it becomes a question about your own integrity. If it's just something that is not necessarily an obligation or some fear behind it, it's like you said, just try to do it honestly, but not in a mean-hearted way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I had that happen to me recently, where I was looking back at something you and I were studying and sharing notes on, and we were new, because you and I, we kind of will write things and then kind of like have like an AI do a review or a summary on what that thing is. And that was one of the responses. And I'm sure you're not going to be surprised to hear this, but like it was saying, like, it was kind of, my thought was delivered kind of harshly or confrontational. And it was kind of saying, well, I'm kind of probing, and you kind of go back and forth with it. Well, what do you think would have been the softer way to deliver this? And I'm looking at it like, I don't feel that's genuine. I feel like it's almost kind of coming in to softball. So again, you have to, I'm not going to just go and just do everything AI says to do, but I do take that in consideration, because if I'm trying to not do harm to people and something I say is harmful, then I want to do better. But I want to find that balance of doing better, but also still being honest and genuine to myself.
Yeah.
But it's okay to say I'm searching and kind of trying to work on internally to get to that point where I could be honest, but then still deliver things softly and effectively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. I don't. I mean, I think we've covered the word pretty much
for sure.
Tonight. Like,
for sure.
Because I think it's so many routes that you can go with it. As far as from the negative, to me, it's the manipulation.
Yes.
I think it's the manipulation part where we don't, when you take a word in action like acclamation, that's not an everyday. It's not an everyday word.
Yes.
But it's an everyday action.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like
Yes.
you.
Not a common word, but a common concept.
It is a common concept, and it's almost daily.
Yep.
Right. And you don't even realize that that's something that you're doing.
Right.
And I think that we have to gird ourselves, guard our hearts when we doing these types of things, man, because I really believe that what we're trying to do is create authentic people in their thinking, in their actions. And that's kind of where I endeavor. Absolutely. I really endeavor for that.
Absolutely.
Do I fail and make mistakes? Absolutely, man. You know what I mean?
We all do.
But the key is this: is when you figured out you made a mistake or whatnot, work on it right away.
Yes.
Immediately,
yes,
jump on it right away.
Exactly.
If you feel like you're hypocritical of something, work on it right away.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
Immediately hit it. Boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. And not only that, note it.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Milestone, boom. This is how I felt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's good. I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I've said too much already this episode. You wrap us up?
Nah, you good. yeah, man. Hey, everyone, please like, share, subscribe. We are so thankful that we have opportunities to share these words with you. All right. God bless you. Talk to you later.